This is my final project for IT109 desktop operating systems. Basically, the description of the project is to create a Windows 7 VM for a so-called business, or made-up business, basically. Here I'm just showing you how to install, showing that I can install a VM, so that's always good. Here I'm using a ISO to install the image, or install the operating system rather than an actual disk. Don't worry, the ISO I got illegally from what is it? MSNDA through the school, through IT Tech. Here we have to split we have to have two partitions, two primary partitions, two 20 gig primary partitions. That's why I made it a 40 gig hard drive. Figured you didn't want to watch the installation, so we just skip past that. Next we got we have to name the D drive data drive. That was one of the requirements. And then here it told us to copy the i386 folder to the D drive. Did some research and it said basically in Windows 7 the WinSXS folder is the same as the i386 folder from Windows XP, or similar, not necessarily the same. I did have to name it Workstation 5 and then add it to the workgroup Kiwi. Restart later, let the files finish copying. Now I'm going to restart. Once it restarts, obviously you didn't want to watch that. Next here, they told us to assign a static IP, and it's going to use the following IP address, and then subnet mask 2, which is kind of interesting because subnet mask that I used is usually for home networks. You usually see it with like a 192.168, etc. for that subnet mask. We also have to set the security settings, the internet security settings, to high, so people aren't downloading things. And then we have to create 6 users, 3 in the marketing department and 3 in the finance department. So here I'll just create the users using the scheme, first letter of the first name and then the last letter, and then their full last name. These are just made up names. He didn't give us any names to worry about at all. I don't know if you caught that joke. Did Enron in the finance, Nick Ron. Enron is the name. I don't know if you caught that or not, but I thought it was funny, so I thought I'd put it in. Alright, so then after this we have to create 2 groups, a marketing group and a finance group. That's what I'm doing right here. Create those 2 groups and then add specific people to each group. So there'll be 3 in the marketing group and 3 in the finance group. Excuse me. Alright. Next we have to create some new folders. We have an input and a materials folder. The marketing, input, and materials folder, they all have different security settings here. The input materials we have to share. Once we get connected to the networks, we want to make sure that they're shared for everybody to give everyone full control so they can add, delete materials. Marketing one, however, they just want for the marketing group. So here what I had to do is I actually had to remove the inherited permissions from the D drive because everybody has access to the D drive. And then I had to remove, I added the marketing group, gave them their permissions, and then what I actually had to do was remove the authenticated users group, which I'll be doing here, because what I was finding is anybody that logs into the specific computer, even if they're not in the marketing group, they can still have access to the marketing folder. So if you remove authenticated users, then they won't have access to that either. Here again I'm removing the Here again, I'm removing the inherited permissions from the input folder, just so I can edit the individual settings how I like it. Here, I think these two, the materials and input folders, everybody has read. What is it? Write permission. Yeah, write permissions to all users for the materials folder. Write and delete permissions from marketing group. Full control for the administrators. And then the input folder had the other ones. Here we have to create a security template based on a set of criteria that were given. For the passwords, password had to expire every 15 days and had to be at least 8 characters long. Those were the 2 criteria we were given for passwords. I also added a minimum of 1 day for passwords, just for my own sake. And then we also had to set the security log to 5,120 kilobytes, like you just saw. And then we have to, what does it say? All audit events have to be logged. So that's what I'm doing here, just enabling all audit events, whether they're succeed or failure, to be logged. I have to save it. Kiwi Security is template. Okay, and then the next one, 2 more folders we have to create. One called encrypted data. The other one is called compressed data. Make that quick. And then encrypted data. Obviously, we're gonna encrypt it. So there you go. That's how you encrypt the folder. And then yeah, it says back up your file encryption key. Make sure you do that. And then yeah, obviously the compressed one, we will compress the data in it. Then it said part of the lab or the project was to create 2 test files to make sure that they were encrypted. So I'm just double checking that they're encrypted when they were made in the encrypted data folder. And then in the compressed data, we're supposed to make 2 test documents just to make sure that they are compressed while they're in the compressed folder. Yeah, they were. Sorry, that went by real quick. Yep, there you go. You saw it there. So yep, those are those 2. And then the last thing for this was we had to copy stuff from the compressed data to the encrypted data folder, and then double check to make sure that those files became encrypted once we copied them over. Obviously, they're not still compressed because they inherit their properties from the parent folder. Next thing was we had to create a quota on the D drive with a limit of 750 megabytes per user, warning level at 500 megabytes. I did the log event, and then I did click deny disk space, but I ended up removing that later, but it's not a big deal. That way we can know when people. Here we had to take a screenshot of our disk defragmenter and check disk and disk cleanup programs. I figured since I'm doing a video, I probably don't have to do a screenshot, since technically this is a screenshot, I guess. So I'll just let that run, showing you that I know how to use the check disk and the disk defragmenter. Obviously, I'm using command line for the check disk. There is a way you can do it graphically. It's disk. It's called error checking, I believe. And here's the disk cleanup. So obviously that's it. If you have any suggestions, let me know. Anything I can do better, any shortcuts I can take, stuff like that. So yeah, thanks for watching, and let me know if you guys have any suggestions or anything. This is my first video, so there you go. Thanks.